This video is made possible by CuriosityStream. It's not very often that we talk about what is possibly the worst jazz album of all time, and then in the same sentence, congratulate it for achieving its desired effect. But in 2015, that's exactly what H. Jon Benjamin did, and if you aren't familiar with him, you may recognize his voice from shows like Archer, Bob's Burgers, and Family Guy. And the whole concept behind this album is a pretty hilarious one.
I mean, I guess because this is the first album, there's more pressure, maybe.
Just that intro is brilliant. I mean, it's taking itself so seriously, and the whole gag is that Jon Benjamin doesn't know how to play the piano. In fact, the album is called Well, I Should Have, which is two things at the same time. Number one, it seems to be paying tribute to Monk's tune, Well, You Needn't, while also in the corner it says ... learned how to play the piano. The whole point of this album is that he doesn't know how to play piano at all, and yet he's recording a jazz piano album. The concept in and of itself is kind of brilliant. I'm particularly interested in looking at some of the things that happened, because believe it or not, there's a nugget or two within this album that is surprisingly good, kind of.
There's a moment where I play the song for the first time. And they're two very different things. I mean, I'm worried about it.
He's got a box that says Jazz Ideas. Oh.
No, failing.
Yo, wait.
No, failing.
Some fives going on there. I've seen so many album release films in jazz that look exactly like this. But let's check out some of the actual music from the album and just get a feel for what it is exactly that we're dealing with here. This is I Can't Play Piano Part 1 by H. Jon Benjamin. Yeah. Okay. Oh! Props to the rest of the musicians in the band. On this record, we heard Scott Kreitzer on tenor saxophone, David Fink on the bass, and Jonathan Peretz on the drums. And to try to keep everything together through the piano, the solo break there, good job. So this is hilarious because this tune, it's a rhythm changes tune. It's on. With rhythm changes on the bridge, it goes up to the third and kind of does like a key circle walk around type of thing. So the band is playing this rhythm changes, this whole form underneath this thing, and we have some interesting harmony, if you want to call it that. It actually brings up some really interesting points. If you listen really closely, you can hear there's actually like an altered chord. No, there's nothing happening here harmonically, but there is something else happening here at the risk of nerding out and finding things that were never intended to be there. But what else do we do here? There are moments in this record that I think are really great lessons in using space. So if we listen to some of the ways that he's playing behind the saxophone. Now, the notes, of course, are completely irrelevant because he doesn't know how to play any of the notes. But what he does do, he's actually listening pretty well. And there are some rhythmic things that he does where you're like, oh, that was thought out. When I was a kid, right, and this is, I think, maybe what a lot of young musicians do when you first learn how to play different shapes and chords and scales and things like that, and especially if you develop some technique. So I had done a lot of that stuff, and my chops were okay. What I did once I learned how to start improvising and I started learning some scales like like the blues scale and some other just insert here stuff, is you start wanting to play a ton of notes because you think that's what sounds impressive and what sounds good. And ironically, it's really draining on the ear to listen to just somebody playing a string of notes. It's kind of like somebody who talks a lot but never says anything. That's a lot of what I think a lot of young musicians, including myself, did. And really what you want to be doing is you want to be taking breaths and making statements as you would if you were speaking, and speaking meaningfully. You have to breathe. And I would make the argument that there are some parts of this that in some ways, if I were to compare them to my 12, 13-year-old self, I would rather listen to this, because the interesting thing is that he's playing rhythms with intention, especially like the comping behind the saxophone. Like, listen to some of this. Like, listen to those stabs. I mean, obviously the chords are nothing, but the rhythm is something. You can tell that he's actually listening to the band around him, which is more than I can say for my 13-year-old self. This is the only standard on the record that's not an original tune. It had to be you. I mean, and the saxophone, of course, is playing the melody and sounds really nice, but the piano is unintentionally harmonizing in a pretty odd way. But you can see that he kind of knows the melody. He knows at least rhythmically how the melody sort of goes. He understands that the melody... He's getting the fact that there's this repeated figure. He even understands the direction of the melody. It's climbing. He's getting those directional movements, and he's playing them correctly despite the notes not even being remotely close. Space. Phrases. Listen, listen, listen. Right there, that first line, it feels so ridiculous to even be thinking about this, but I think there's a lot of things that are sort of maybe unintentionally happening here just because, I don't know, maybe he has a natural musical inclination for this kind of thing, but he started his first line and it was almost a version of the melody. It's the same type of phrase. In fact, this is an exercise that we did in school, and it's actually one that you can try if you want to, start working on like how to work your improvisation to be connected to the song that you're playing. And that's like, play a little bit of the melody almost, and then start working that melody away from the actual melody, introducing some segments that are a step away from that, some different melodic movements, but base it around the melody, at least for a period of time, maybe for a chorus or something like that. And that can be a really great way to develop a solo while also connecting it to the song that you're playing. And that's almost what he's doing here. It's just fascinating why this works. And this is an actual thing. I want you to check something out. If I literally, I'll just pull up like a backing track. So we're gonna do something really stupid here. I'm gonna demonstrate why it is so much more important to have some good rhythmic feel, and the notes are a little bit less important. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna try to demonstrate. I'm gonna do my best to demonstrate that. Boy, I haven't thought about the fact that when you know how to play the piano, can you play it and sound like you don't know how to play it? Let's try it. First thing I'm gonna do is we're gonna play a little bit of If I Were a Bell, and I'm just gonna play it how I normally would, as if I were just taking a solo over it. So now I'm gonna try to play as if I don't know how to play, and I'm just gonna use sort of rhythmic ideas. So let's try that. That's absolutely horrendously awful, but compare it to maybe 13-year-old me that just wanted to just play notes and notes and notes and notes and notes, and there are probably some sections in just the rhythmic thing with no paying attention to any notes that sounds better. Not a great way to play. So if you have two options, and one is to just play a ton of notes that are maybe somewhat connected to the changes, or play rhythmically and leave space. Like he's not even playing right here. Thematic playing, he started the same phrase over again. God, there's an entire album of this. Certainly, I'm not making an argument for it sounding good, but it is funny to hear some things in there that we can actually make a point of and learn something from, which is what you should take from everything, including piano albums where the person doesn't know how to play piano, I guess. Is this the worst jazz album ever? Very possibly. I think the only thing that saves it is the fact that it's trying to be the worst jazz album ever. There are plenty of albums out there that weren't trying to be the worst ever and maybe turned out pretty bad. Tell me in the comments below if there's some albums out there that you just think are really, really bad. We'll go ahead and leave out poor Tommy Flanagan on Giant Steps, because it wasn't that bad. What a brilliant project this was. I don't know if I could bring myself to listen to the entire thing. Have you? I don't know. Tell me, did you survive? The rest of the band sounds great. Maybe there's some redeeming qualities in that. I don't know. Go check out Well, I Should Have by H. John Benjamin. What an absolute disaster. Hey, if you're interested in checking out some exclusive and extended content that you've never seen here on this YouTube channel, then consider using the link in the description to check out Nebula. Nebula is a streaming service that a bunch of like-minded creators, including myself, came together to create, where we would be unbounded by the restrictions of the YouTube algorithm. Sometimes I can't post a video that's 45 minutes long talking about the benefits or some tips on going to music school because YouTube just wouldn't show it to anyone. So instead, we came together to create a place where we could make content that would not be subject to those restrictions. You can find all of our videos that go on the main channel ad-free, as well as some exclusive pieces of content that you've never seen here. And it's all available through the sponsor of today's video, CuriosityStream. CuriosityStream is home to thousands of the internet's best documentaries on so many different subjects. It's an absolutely incredible resource. And being an educational platform, CuriosityStream loves educational content creators, which is why we've been able to come together to create this amazing bundle. Right now, when you use the link in the description, not only will you receive 26% off an annual subscription to CuriosityStream, which winds up being less than $15 not per month, per year, at less than $15 a year, but you'll also get access to Nebula for free. It's an incredible bundle, and it's made possible by CuriosityStream, where you can find incredible documentaries on so many different topics, including things about music.
You can use computers to do crazy, exciting, creative things.
The experiment makes only one demand.
So be sure to check out the link in the description and go check out some of my exclusive content on Nebula. We hope to see you over there. And thank you so much to CuriosityStream for sponsoring this video. That's gonna do it for me today. Thank you so much for watching this video, and we will see you in the next one.